Okay, class, today is Tuesday, March 31st. We are going to continue talking about Native Americans. You see our map of North America. There are various regions all throughout North America that contain several different tribes. You see the southeast to the lower corner here, the eastern woodland tribes, the Great Plains tribes. Here you have the southwest, where you would have found the Hohokam culture, the Great Basin region, the Plateau region, I think I said the Great Plains here, the subarctic region in red through here, runs all the way up to Alaska, and then the Arctic, very frigid cold region where the Inuit are located in northern Canada. And here on this coast you have what's called the Northwest Coast region here, which as you see includes various tribes such as the my eyes are bad, sorry. The Bella Coola, and the Kwakiutl, and the Tlingit. In the American South, or Northwest, you have the Nez Perce, we're a fierce tribe, part of the Plateau region, the Shoshone of the Great Basin region, the Pomo of the California region, which includes this peninsula going down here, the Baja Peninsula. Southwest region included the Apache, the Hopi, the Navajo, the Pueblo. In the Great Plains region, where horse culture thrived, you had the Blackfoot, the Mandan, the Crow, the Dakota, the Cheyenne, the Arapaho, and the Osage, and the Comanche. Fierce Comanche tribe. In the southeast, the Cherokee, which are still here in our state, and the Natchez, along with many others. In the eastern woodlands, where the Iroquois Confederacy was established, the Algonquin, the Chippewa, the Huron, the Iroquois, the Miami, the Shawnee, and the Lenni Lenape. And the Cree up to the north in the subarctic, along with Beaver tribe, and then again the Inuits to the Arctic region there. Okay, so in our region, the southeast, we had the inland region of the southeast, home to a number of successful farming societies. They grew most of the food they needed. As we mentioned, this is very much influenced by the Mississippian culture of the Mississippi River area. But they also hunted a wide variety of game, especially deer. The territory of one of these groups, the Cherokee, covered parts of 8 present-day U.S. states, stretching from Alabama to Virginia. The Cherokees, you see on the map here, were divided into 7 clans. People had to marry outside of their own clan. After marriage, a man went to live with his wife's clan because it was matrilineal, the descent there, mother's sided. The couple's children were considered to be part of the mother's clan. Family identity that is based on the mother's family rather than the father's is known as, once again, matrilineal descent. Each Cherokee year was marked by a series of festivals. The most important was the Green Corn Festival, which marked the beginning of the corn harvest. This festival was also a time to ask and receive forgiveness for wrongs one might have committed during the past year. Festivals were often accompanied by games of what we call lacrosse. The Cherokee called it Little Brother of War, the inventors of lacrosse. They called it Little Brother of War, which hints at the game's often violent nature. Lacrosse was also played among members of the Iroquois Confederacy. Okay, the eastern woodlands to the north, be part of the northeast region. What are today the Canadian provinces up here of New Brunswick, where you see Algonquin on the map there. Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia were home to the Micmac people. Like the Haida of the Northwest, who we'll talk about, the Micmacs were able to hunt and gather because of their surroundings. They took in what nature provided seasonally. In the spring and summer, they moved to the coast to trap and spear fish, collect shellfish, catch migratory birds, and to hunt seals. In the fall, they moved inland to catch eel in the rivers and hunt the big animals like moose, beaver, bear, and other game. The Iroquois Confederacy was a part of this region of eastern woodlands, roughly in the area of present-day New York State. It was made up of the Cayuga, the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Onondaga, and the Seneca. It was likely founded sometime in the 1400s. The Confederacy's Grand Council was made up of delegates from the 5 tribes. And I'll show you here on this map these 5 tribes, if I can. there you have the Iroquois, you see coming off the Great Lakes there. And that was the center of this Confederacy region. Again, upstate New York area today. The council, the Iroquois Confederacy's Grand Council, was made up of delegates from the 5 tribes. The council settled disputes between the members of the member groups and negotiated with outside groups. The council's members were all men, but these men were chosen by and could be removed by the elder women of each tribe. So women did have some power in this confederacy. The groups in the Iroquois Confederacy were mainly agricultural. The people called their 3 principal crops, corn, beans, and squash, the 3 sisters, as we've mentioned. In general, the women cared for the crops while the men hunted and fished. About every 15 years or so, the game and firewood around an Iroquois settlement would usually be used up. Also, the minerals in the soil would wear out, so the men would set out in search of a new site. Once they found it, they cleared the forest or brush, and the people rebuilt the village on the new site. So that was the Northeast. Now moving over to the Great Plains region, as you see here. The Great Plains region extends north from the present-day Texas-Mexico border down here into southern Canada, all the way up here. So it's quite a tall region there, north to south. From east to west, it stretches from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains. Native Americans lived in this region for thousands of years before contact with Europeans. Most were farmers with settled villages. Others followed and hunted bison or buffalo on foot. Horses brought to the Americas by Europeans, the Spaniards first brought them over, became common on the Great Plains by around 1750. The arrival of horses caused a permanent change in the Great Plains culture. With bison hunting much easier on horseback, many tribes adopted the nomadic hunting lifestyle. Groups that moved to the Great Plains to escape European expansion also took up this horse-driven way of life. With many tribes relying on the buffalo for food, interaction between the groups increased. Each summer, the buffalo gathered in huge herds. So many tribes would come together then too. This interaction caused a common plains culture to take shape. Trade, especially in horses, grew, and over time, a Great Plains sign language developed to help trade and general communication. There was not any single plains religion in this vast area, but certain religious practices were common. Most groups believed that all natural objects had spirits that helped or harmed people. Animism, once again. The practice of the vision quest was widespread too. A vision quest generally involved days of solitude, fasting, and prayer. During this time, the person undertaking the quest hopes to communicate with the spirit world in some meaningful way, possibly through a dream. Many plains societies practiced the sun dance, a sacred ceremony that took place in early summer. Here's a picture of a sun dance going on here, if you can see that. Doing a little sun dance in there. Use your imagination, pretend they're moving. And again, the point here of the sun dance, which took place in early summer, was the performers would dance on and off for several days while others drummed, sang, and prayed. A successful dance brought harmony to the people and ensured that another year of prosperity would come about. The sun dance is still practiced by many Great Plains societies even today. Now to the northwest, all right? So over here in the Pacific Northwest region, you have, whoopsie, let me go ahead and slide that over a little bit here, sorry. There we go. Oh, it won't stay there. Okay, let's go ahead and back on out of that then. There we go. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties, nothing to worry about. Now, in the Northwest, in the Pacific Northwest, Native American societies were mostly hunters-gatherers, especially on the coasts. All right, sources of food were abundant, so farming was unnecessary here. The Haida lived on what Europeans called the Queen Charlotte Islands and Prince or Wales Island off the coast, the west coast of Canada. The Haida lived in this location for about 10,000 years. Plentiful fish, wild game, and edible plants led an estimated 18,000 Haida before Europeans arrived, or fed, not led, sorry. With food easy to come by, the Haida could specialize in other areas. They became famous artists and craftspeople. For example, they constructed rugged, beautifully decorated canoes, the Haida did, over here in this west coast. Beautifully decorated canoes, some of the best that I've seen. Some were 70 feet long even and held up to 30 paddlers or several tons of freight. Their canoes made large-scale trade with societies on the mainland possible. Haida canoes themselves were very highly prized often and were traded for a steep sum. The Haida practiced a ceremony known as the potlatch ceremony, as I mentioned before. Potlatches were often given to mark occasions such as marriage or births, the big events. The hosts provided a great feast and gave away most of their possessions to their guests. Having a large potlatch showed that the hosts were very wealthy and generous. It also increased their status by guaranteeing that many people witnessed their wealth and generosity. So all Native American societies and religions of North America were focused on nature. Each society adapted to its own surroundings, the local land, climate, and available resources in order to survive. Peoples of different regions adapted in different ways. Thank you very much.